Hello everybody, happy 2020. This is the first video, probably the only video I'm making this year, and good God, I hope your 2020 hasn't been as rough as mine. But anyway, here is the new this is the new cabin tent from Kodiak Canvas. I've been waiting 2 months to get this. Hunting season's over with, but it was a hell of a back order. I ordered this in the middle of September, and I finally got it. Here it is, the middle of November. Almost exactly 2 months it took to get it. If you've seen my other videos, you know I'm going to jump around a lot from one subject to the next, back to the subject prior to that, because this is not scripted. This is informational. I don't have fancy video editing software. Just I don't want to put the time into it. I mean, I'm not making money off this. This has never been about money. My son does. He edits videos, and it takes him hours to put a video out. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So anyway, this is the new tent. We'll talk about some of the features. If you've seen my other videos, you know that I'm coming out of the, I've still got it. I'm still going to use it on occasion. But the model 6133 tent, which is the Lodge tent, that's what I've been using for the last 3 years, if you watch my other videos. But this is the tent that I wanted all along, and in some ways I wanted all along and didn't even know it. Let's go inside here. So to explain that, my first videos, I talked about why I settled on the Kodiak Canvas tent, the Lodge tent that I had, like I said previously, and I settled on that over a typical traditional wall tent, and I did that for several reasons. Main one being the cost. So, you know, when I talk about this is the tent that I always wanted and really didn't even know it, is because of this front surround here. If you get a typical outfitter's tent, you're going to be running into, by the time you start adding all the options, like these windows here, windows all the way around, those all cost money. You'll see, oh, you can get a wall tent for $900, you know, a 12 by 12, which this is what this is. And by the time you click on that 12 by 12 for $900 is nothing but 4 walls and a door. Then you start adding windows. It might include the stove jack for typical outfitters, you know, wall tent. But by the time you start adding options in, you know, you're looking, you know, each one of these windows that you add on and screens is going to cost you money. So by the time you get done, you're looking at probably $1,400 to $1,500 for a typical 4-wall with options. You start adding the windows on and whatnot, canvas tent, and it does not have a sewn on floor. And some people like this, some people don't. I dig the hell out of it. You ain't getting no creepy crawlies crawling under your walls, getting inside your tent. But anyway, so you're talking $1,500 minimum. Now that is just the canvas and what they call the roof kit, which is the angles that'll make the frame up to hold your tent, up. So. And this does not include shipping. So again, you're looking at around $1,500. Then when you get your plus shipping now, and then when you get your tent, you're gonna have to invest another $300 to $400 in what's called EMT, which is electrical metallic tubing, which is basically galvanized steel pipe, and then you got to cut it to make your frame. So the tent does not include the frame. And then on top of that, if you've ever gone by other tent hunting camps, You're not going to buy one tent. You're going to buy two, because you have to have a place to cook, especially if you're doing the 4-season. You're doing the 4-season hunting camp. You're not going to be, in the middle of winter out in a blizzard cooking food. So you're going to need a separate tent as a cook shack. So, and you can get away with a basic tent for that. So you figure, another, again, using the reference from before, the 12 by 12 canvas tent. And that's another $900 plus shipping, plus the EMT for the framing. So altogether, you're going to be in well over $3,000 to get a setup similar to this. And this, with shipping, was it was just under $1,200. Frame, the surround here. This is the model 1672 surround. And I'm sorry, I know this isn't the best thing to film on, but it's all I got. This is my cell phone. But anyway, so here you have a really nice tent. Like I said, I haven't done any camping in this one, but 3 years of living out in the woods or up in the mountains for at least a month in the lodge tent that I own, this is, they're tremendous tents. And I guess that's why it was back ordered so much. Is I'm complaining about it, but it's probably partly my fault because of all the videos that are online. Anybody that owns one of these tents absolutely loves Kodiak Canvas. It doesn't matter if it's the Flexbow tent, the model's 6133 Lodge tent, or this tent. I mean, everybody that's getting this tent is just falling in love with it. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about some of the features. Now, one of the things I did notice putting this tent up over the previous model that I have, the 6133, is that there is only one roof pole. I guess you could call it ridge line. Now, the other model that I have, it has a ridge pole for the top and then a ridge pole on each side, which would go approximately, somewhere in this area here. I'm sorry, the sun's in my eyes. And then, so you've got 3 of those poles like that, ridge line up on top, that has to slide through a sleeve. And so this model here, this cabin tent, is actually easier to put up than the 6133, the lodge tent, to an extent. Okay, so instead of having another ridge pole here, which would connect here and there, just like it does up there on the very top, you've got these poles here on the sides that join in with the tent, and these grommeted tabs here, and then they get tied down all the way around to the ground with these ropes and stakes. I'll give you a shot of the back here. So there's the ridge pole and the one and these poles here. Now, but like I said before, you would have 3 of them across here. This would be a pole similar to this one, and exact same thing on the other side. One thing they have changed this year, these poles on other models like the 6133, they have a tension screw to hold this in place, which they do work, but they do wear out. In fact, I need to get some more for my other tent, my 6133, the lodge tent. But these have a pin, a spring pin that fits into holes. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm getting this in frame or not, but there's holes back here, and that spring pin fits into them. You start out here, which would be your shortest length, and then you get everything connected, and then you've got 3 other holes below that to adjust into to put tension on your ridge pole up there. Yeah, I'm sorry about this. This is not the best environment to do this up in town here. But I wanted to get a video out, especially for this this tent, because I promised people that I would get one out. So that being said, about how this tent goes up, you know, it took my son and I about an hour and a half to put it up. You know, it was the first time. We kind of learned as we went along, made some mistakes, had to stop and go back and redo things. For the most part, there's one mistake that we didn't go back and correct, but it's not a big deal because it's only going to be up for another few hours. But so my son and I, about an hour and a half. Now I think that I can put this tent up on my own. The main part here, the surround, may be a little bit of a different story. I'm not for sure if I feel comfortable trying to put this up by myself or not. Just a lot kind of goes into it, a little bit more than the other model of tent I have. So anyway, you know, like I said, an hour and a half, but realistically, my son and I, we could probably do it in probably like 30 minutes, maybe 45. Now we know what we're doing. One thing I have noticed about this tent is it truly is a 4-season tent. This is made to go up and to be up in the snow. This pole here is actually a center pole. It fits into those loops and then it extends down to the ground. And what it is, it's an extra support for the roof, for snow load. You know, obviously you've got the installed stove jack now. And one of my other complaints, you know, but then again, you know, I was using the other model, the Lodge tent, the 6133, for what it really wasn't intended for. I was using it as a 4-season tent. So, and one of the drawbacks to doing that is if you've got one of those tents, or you watch my other videos, you know, as soon as you walk through the main door here and turn to the left, there's a second door on that wall, and it zippers. It's kind of got an awning cover, and you know, it's a big screened window that you can go in and out of basically, and it folds down or lays down and zips on each side, but it doesn't zip across the bottom. It's only got like one piece of Velcro holding the awning on the bottom, and so it lets a lot of cold air in. That was always one of my complaints, but it's not a complaint because, like I said, I was using the tent for what it was not intended for. Another one of my issues that I had using it as a winter tent was the pretty big gaps you would get here on the front surround, because there wasn't enough Velcro to hold the material up. And this material seems, this front surround seems to be more along the size of what it really needs. I always felt that the surround on the Lodge tent was a little bit too long on the sides, and so you would have a lot of sagging. Like I'll undo one of these Velcro straps here, you know, you'd have gaps like this. And again, you know, I was using the tent for what it was not intended for. And with that being said, it was still an awesome addition to the tent. You know, even with the gaps, you know, you're out of the weather for the most part. So again, they're not really complaints, they're just observations of why this tent is better as a 4-season tent. It's actually made to be a 4-season tent over the Lodge tent. So if you've got a Lodge tent and you've been using it for hunting and whatnot, you really may want to consider purchasing this tent. So One of the other things too about this tent is that it is definitely taller in the center. I'm wanting to say, and I had a tape measure ready to go. I had it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna bring this out and measure this. And like all tape measures, it went 30 minutes later, and I don't know what the hell happened to it. So I'm guesstimating here, the peak is about 7 feet tall, and then it slopes down to 4 feet walls. And what that's doing is it's giving you one hell of a pitch on your roof for shedding snow. That's pretty much what it's for, is to shed snow. Now, with that being said, I would definitely still tarp the tent. And I had that same tape measure last night. I measured the length of the pitch here, the length of the run of the roof from the ridge line here down to the sidewall. It's just over 7 feet. So if you get like a 16-foot wide tarp, at minimum 16 foot, it's going to give you about a foot overlap at the eaves, which will shed snow away from the walls of your tent, which is what you want. So, but a minimum, well, minimum would be 16 feet, and it's 20 feet long, 12 feet for the length of the tent, and 8 feet. This surround here is 8 foot by 8 foot. This surround model number, when you're ordering this tent, by the way, is 6172. Now, about the surround itself, the surround that comes with the Lodge tent, the model 6133, the material that it's made out of, this part here I'm talking about, is made out of nylon. So this, and they're roughly $100 to replace them. This is the actual tent material itself. This is canvas now, same canvas that the tent is made out of. And this option, the surround here, is $350 because of the material that it's made out of. It's pretty much the same size as the surround at the surround for the Lodge tent. I think this Lodge tent is 8 by 8 as well. And it may be a little shorter here on the sides. The side walls are a little bit shorter. The Lodge tent, was probably the roof line here, the eave, was about this much taller. So we do have an issue of having head clearance here. But again, it's for shedding snow. I know I've talked about tarping canvas tent, and I had one guy just beat the hell out of me about it, just tell me how wrong I was, this and that and another thing. But even with this steep pitch, you're going to want to tarp this tent, especially early season hunting, because the early season hunting weather tends to dump wet, heavy, warmish snow on you, shit that's gonna stuff that's gonna melt within a day or two, because it's you get snow one day and you're in the mountains, and the next day it's 75 degrees. So that wet, heavy snow has a tendency to accumulate on your canvas. It's not saying anything bad about the canvas. It's not gonna leak on you or nothing like that, at least in my experience. But it won't shed easily, especially if you got a wood stove cranked in here, and this canvas, especially above the wood stove, it's hot enough that it melts and keeps it melted here, but you'll get partial melting and then freezing and whatnot, especially with the cold or the temperature variations. So you'll create ice dams on this canvas, which will hold back the melt water, and it just perpetuates. So you put the poly tarp on these, and it sheds that snow like nobody's business. It's like snot on a screen door. It'll shed that snow. If it does start to collect and starts weighing down, you just give it a little push, and that stuff comes off like an avalanche. So definitely still run a tarp with this tent. Now, one of the things that I have run into this year, like I said, usually I don't have a bad thing to say about Kodiak Canvas tents. Superior tents in every way. Awesome value for the money. But one of the issues I did run into, and I've run into this issue before, is the zippers. The zipper on my other surround, my nylon surround, it went out once before. It lasted, you know, basically a season and a half. So in the middle of the second season I ran it, it wasn't last season, the season before, I had to buy another surround because the zipper went out. Now, I'm pretty sure I could find a place to replace these zippers, but I was already in hunting camp. Camp was already set up. I was couple weeks into it when that zipper went out. So I ordered another another surround. Like I said previously, the surrounds for the lodge tent, they are about $100. So I just went ahead and ordered a new surround and put that in. Well, fast forward to the middle of this hunting season, the zipper went out again. What I mean by going out is that, you know, you zip it down and it doesn't stay locked behind the zipper. So now I've got another one that my zipper went out. And on top of that, this year, 3 years of use, the zipper on the main door of my other tent has gone out as well. I know these have a lifetime warranty. I'm not sure if they cover the zippers or not. I bought my tent through Competitive Edge products, just like I bought this one. Excellent company to deal with. No, I'm not sponsored by them in any way. They're out of I think either Utah. Yeah, I think they're out of Utah. And when I order stuff, they send it FedEx, and it's next day it's here after they ship it. So Competitive Edge Products is a great company. A lot of times they'll throw in like the ground tarp for underneath the tent. They'll give you a discount on the surrounds. So keep them in mind when you're looking for these tents. And so I got to get a hold of them to see about if the zipper's covered. If not, I'm gonna have to. I live in Wyoming, and there's a tent canvas place down in Denver. Probably get a hold of them and see about replacing this zipper. If they will, I'm probably gonna go with the brass zipper, the metal, and you know, hopefully it's not too expensive, but you know, it's probably cheaper than buying a brand new tent, which I probably wouldn't do it anyway. I survived by the bottom zipper was still working, but the top zipper here didn't work. So what I was doing is I was just Velcroing it. You got a piece of Velcro down there in the bottom corner and there, and I'd put the zipper where I could here in the corner. I'd still have a big gap up on top, and then just Velcro the bottom. I did what I had to do. So I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. This when you order this tent, if you don't order the surround, you're not going to get the awning either. This awning, unlike the lodge tent, you know, you got a couple different models of the lodge tent. The model 6133 comes, it's called the deluxe. It comes with the awning here sewn onto the tent. Now this tent, the awning zips on right here. Now this zipper is actually quite a bit different than this zipper. You can tell by the teeth the difference here. And I kind of wish, you know, I don't know why they didn't, you know, is it expense? I don't know. I wish they kind of would have used this zipper on the doors as well, because this seems to be a really heavy duty zipper. So, but anyway, they didn't, and you know, hopefully, like I said, I can get a place to replace my other zipper, and then I'll know in the future for when this zipper goes out as well. Now again, you know, I use this tent a lot more than your average person. So that zipper on the main door, it went out after who knows how many, maybe 1,000 zips and unzips over the last 3 years. So, you know, nothing lasts forever. The law of entropy. But that is, you know, my honest review. You know, I'm honest about these tents. They ain't paying me anything. So yeah, the zippers do go out eventually. At least in my case, they did. Trying to think of anything else I want to talk about. You know, I'll make a video next year, hunting camp, when I put it up, because, you know, I want to make a video with my wood stove in, and those disco beds that I use. I can tell right now that putting the disco beds together, you know, in the bunk formation is not going to work on the sidewalls, because of the four foot tall walls. So if I'm going to put the bunk beds together, they'll probably go here along the back wall, and then if I needed more space for sleeping, or more beds, I could put one along this wall here, and possibly along this wall as well, depending on how close it'll get to the wood stove. But it's, you know, the Lodge tent is a 9x12. The model 6133 is a 9x12, and this is a 12x12. And that you know, as soon as you walk in, you know, if you spend any time in the Lodge tent, as soon as you walk in, you immediately notice that this is 3 feet larger. You know, it's basically a third larger, and that's nice. You know, when you're up in the mountains and you're going to spend weeks, if not months, set up, you're going to actually run into having a lot of gear and equipment. And the Lodge tent, you know, the 6133. You know, it got a little tight in there once I started throwing all my gear in, and as the weeks went by, I was like, oh, I need this, oh, I need to bring that up. So it's going to be nice having this extra 3 feet. So 3x12 be 36 square feet extra, and really great windows for ventilation. This actually has this is like the Flexbow tents. They have the vents here at the top, got one there and one there. What's nice about that is you can open those. You're not really going to let a lot of weather in, but you're going to allow fresh air to circulate. You know, you got a wood stove cranked in here, and you know, these tents breathe on their own as it is. It allows air to pass through the canvas. It's not airtight. You're not going to die of asphyxiation. I had quite a few people leave me warnings. Oh, you don't want it to burn. You know, I run a propane heater for most of the time, unless it's extremely cold, then I'll fire up the wood stove. And everybody's like, oh, you don't want to, or not everybody, but I had comments of people, oh, you're going to kill yourself. You're going to run out of oxygen, yada, yada, yada. Well, first of all, the propane heater that I use has a low oxygen cutoff. The oxygen, if it burns too much oxygen and there's not enough air in the enough oxygen in the air to support the combustion of the propane heater, it'll shut off. So it's not going to kill you. The other thing is the carbon monoxide, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, you know, these tents breathe enough on their own, but they also have these nice little vents on the top that you can open up that'll allow air in. I mean, if you are burning oxygen, you're removing volume from the air, then what it does is it's going to create a negative pressure inside the tent, and it'll draw air from the outside through these vents, or actually through the canvas itself. So anyways, don't leave me any comments about how I'm going to kill myself with the propane stove or with the wood stove burning in here. Okay, thank you. The other thing too, you'll notice there's a ring on this center pole, this roof support, And this tent comes with a mesh bag that hangs from that ring. And what it is, it's a smoke detector, and supposedly you could put a carbon monoxide alarm in there. Now, my understanding is that carbon monoxide is heavier than air. So the last place you want to put a carbon monoxide detector is up high. You want the carbon monoxide detector low, because it's going to pool on the floor, and then it accumulates, the level will rise. But if you put it up here, which will be damn near 7 feet in the air, by the time that carbon monoxide alarm goes off, you're too dead to hear it. As my understanding of, carbon monoxide. I could be wrong. I'm sure somebody will tell me I'm wrong in the comments, but it does have that feature. It does not include the alarm, but that's what that hook is for. You can also hang a light off of it too. Oh shoot, I just noticed something. One thing that this tent does not come with, it does not come with the hanging bags, the organizers. Huh. Yeah, I just noticed that. What I'm talking about, if you've got the 6133 model 6133 or any of the deluxe Flexbow tents, you get a mesh bag, or two of them actually, that are similar to these that are around the outside here, and they hang from the eave. There's little kind of like these rings right here. There's rings along the eave of the tent that you can hang these organizer bags from, and this tent does not come with them. Okay, so there's some information there. Another thing too, if you are needing more ventilation but the weather's nasty outside, this window right here is basically, they call it a storm window, and it's got a kind of a flap that covers on the outside. I'll get a shot from the outside. But what it does is that, here in Wyoming, the weather usually comes in sideways. The rain and the snow, falls sideways because of the wind. So what this will do is you can crack this, and that cover will prevent our sideways rain or our sideways snow from coming through the screen on the window. And go out and take a look at that. We'll take a look at this stove jack a little bit too. I'm sorry, I know it's a long video, but there's quite a bit of information to talk about in here. So anyway, here is the storm window, and the sun is on my screen. I can't see what I'm pointing at, so this is the storm window. That's the only window that comes equipped with this storm flap, and as you can see, it attaches to the rope here. You could tighten this up if you needed to, and then it's sewn to the side of the tent right here. Now, you don't have a window here because that's where your wood stove is going to go, so you don't want anything that, these windows are I don't know what they're made of, plastic or something. Whatever it is, it looks like it could melt in heat, so that's why you don't have any window here where the wood stove goes. Here's the stove jack. Now, the only thing that I do wish about this stove jack is that I wish they had velcroed the bottom here, but they didn't. But anyway, what you do is you use your wood stove is that you would roll this up, and you got your toggles up there. You roll it up because you don't want it falling down on that hot stove pipe, and you'll hold it in place with those loops right there and these toggle straps. And then if it's not in use, and this is one of the main reasons I bought this tent, is because my other tent, the 6133, I've got a video posted how I had to jury